Hi everyone, welcome back. Tonight, I'm bringing you a story from Louisiana. 1867, a story that still leaves historians, investigators, and even descendants of the people involved completely unsettled. 19 people died on a single plantation, and every clue, every whisper, every suspicion pointed to one boy at the center of it all. Not as a killer, not as a witness, but as a mystery no one could explain. Before we dive in, tell me where in the world are you watching from, and make sure you subscribe, because every one of these stories takes hours of digging through records, old archives, and hidden documents just to bring the truth to light. Weeks before the horrifying deaths began, those on the plantation started noticing strange changes in the boy's behavior that seemed to defy explanation. At first, the differences were subtle. He would sometimes stop in the middle of a task, staring blankly at nothing for long stretches of time, as if listening to something invisible. He spoke less and less, avoiding interactions even with those he had been close to, and his laughter and playfulness vanished entirely. Some workers reported seeing him wandering alone at odd hours, moving quietly through the fields or along the edge of the woods, never speaking, never acknowledging anyone who tried to approach. Animals reacted strangely to him as well. Dogs that used to follow him loyally now barked or growled when he came near, and horses appeared uneasy around him, refusing to be near him during chores. His eyes, those who dared to look closely said, seemed unfocused, yet piercing, as if he were aware of things no one else could see. Rumors began to circulate that something had changed inside the boy, that he was no longer just a child, but someone, or something different, something others could not understand. These eerie changes set the stage for the events that would soon spiral into tragedy, leaving the entire plantation in a state of fear and suspicion. When doctors were finally brought in to examine the bodies, their findings only made the situation more disturbing. The first physician suspected illness, but within minutes he admitted he had never seen anything like it. There were no signs of infection, no fever, no discoloration, no swelling, nothing that pointed to any known disease. A second doctor examined the organs of one victim and reported that everything appeared completely normal, as if the person had simply stopped living without a physical cause. Another suggested poison, but blood, stomach contents, and even the water supply revealed no trace of toxins. What unsettled them most was the uniformity of the deaths. Every body was left in a peaceful, almost sleeping position, with no evidence of struggle, pain, or panic. Even more unsettling, several bodies were cool to the touch, far sooner than they should have been, as though life had left them all at once rather than gradually. Physicians compared notes, re-examined the corpses, and even requested help from nearby towns. Yet every expert reached the same baffling conclusion: there was simply no medical explanation. Their reports contradicted the reality of 19 sudden deaths, creating a chilling gap between the evidence and the events. In the end, the doctors could only admit they were dealing with something far outside their knowledge, leaving the plantation with no answers, and a growing belief that something unnatural was at work. As fears spread and the doctors failed to give any real answers, rumors began to consume the plantation and the nearby towns. Workers whispered that the boy had been touched by something unholy, that his sudden silence and distant stare were signs of a curse passed down through his family or conjured by forces no one should meddle with. Some believed he was possessed, not violently, but in a quiet, creeping way that hollowed him out from the inside. Others insisted the deaths were divine punishment, that the land itself was cursed because of the brutality that had taken place there for years. A few people swore they saw shadows following the boy, moving unnaturally in the corners of their vision. Word spread to the nearby church, where the priest warned that evil often disguises itself in the innocent. Meanwhile, older workers recalled stories from their ancestors about spirits that fed on suffering, choosing a host to walk among the living. Every new rumor added another layer of fear, twisting the boy's silence into something darker with each retelling. As the community scrambled to make sense of the tragedy, logic faded and superstition took over, painting the boy as the center of a terrifying force no one dared to confront directly. When the investigation finally turned its focus toward the boy, he vanished in a way that left everyone stunned. The owner swore he had confined the child to a locked storage room to keep him from wandering during questioning. But when the door was opened the next morning, the room was empty. No broken locks, no open windows, no footprints, nothing disturbed. It was as if he had simply evaporated into the air. Search parties spread across the plantation, combing the fields, the nearby woods, even the riverbanks, but not a single trace of him was found. Workers refused to look after sundown, convinced that something far more dangerous than a missing child was lurking in the dark. Some claimed they saw his small figure moving between the trees at dusk, while others believed the plantation owner helped him escape to avoid blame. A few insisted he was never physically present the night before at all, that whatever was appearing in front of people wasn't entirely human. The sheriff's men questioned everyone, but every lead collapsed into contradiction. No one could agree on when they had last seen him, what direction he fled, or even if he fled at all. His disappearance became more unsettling than his behavior, feeding the idea that the boy had not simply run away, but had been taken, hidden, or reclaimed by whatever force the rumors had warned about. In the end, the investigation halted with no answers, leaving only the chilling reality that the central figure in 19 unexplained deaths had slipped out of existence without leaving a single clue behind. For years after the tragedy, the story of the boy and the 19 unexplained deaths continued to echo through Louisiana, growing into a legend that refused to fade. Families who lived near the old plantation claimed they still heard whispers in the fields at night, faint and childlike, drifting across the abandoned land. Some said they occasionally spotted a small figure standing near the tree line at dawn, motionless, silent, watching only to vanish the moment anyone approached. Others spoke of cabins where lights flickered for no reason, shadows that moved as if someone were walking just outside the door, and sudden chills that swept through rooms even in the middle of summer. Over generations, the story morphed into countless versions. Some painted the boy as a cursed child, others as a vessel of something supernatural, and a few as an innocent soul caught in forces beyond human control. Local folklore absorbed the case so deeply that parents warned their children not to wander near the land, claiming the spirits of the 19 dead still lingered there. Historians who researched the incident found conflicting records, missing documents, and testimonies that seemed intentionally altered, feeding theories of a cover-up. No explanation, natural, medical, or spiritual, ever fully solved what happened. And as the years passed, the tale became less of a tragedy and more of a haunting, a reminder of a mystery that left behind far more questions than answers, and a boy whose presence or absence still lingers in Louisiana's darkest stories.